Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining. My name's Ryan, here with Crow Canyon, discussing today's webinar on our project manager application. I'm seeing people still trickling in. I'm going to give folks a minute or two to kind of collect and hop on. So while that's happening, we'll kind of go quiet here for a few seconds, but I'm going to let folks trickle in, and then we'll hop into it. Just as a note here, I do have a colleague on the line with me, Scott Restivo. He is going to be answering questions as we work our way through our webinar today. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot those over in the questions box in the webinar screen. We will be answering those live. If Scott wants me to stop and take a deeper dive into those questions, we will. But really, I mean, we're going to give you guys a nice taste of what the project manager application can do today. Give you an idea of what this is going to look like within your environment. And then really, if you want to know more, the goal is to reach out to us and schedule a time to do a personalized demo of the project management application. Okay, well, I think, I've seen a kind of a slowing of people trickling in, so I think I'm going to get going. Again, my name is Ryan. I work here at Crow Canyon. Thanks again for attending, everyone. Today is another webinar in our business application series as a part of our service desk application for your Office 365 environment, as well as SharePoint on-premise, so both SharePoint Online and SharePoint on-premise. We kicked off this conversation, about 6 weeks ago now, specifically around our self-service portal, right? This layer of request, or this request layer, this request portal, this page where you can embed within your SharePoint environment, send your end users to, and then have them submit requests to backend applications. Now, in previous weeks, we've talked about like IT help desk, asset management, HR requests, or really any type of requests, help desk that you want to have submitted to your backend departments, onboarding, purchase request, contract management, right? And the idea is that our goal is to create this service desk system inside of your SharePoint world, whether it's Office 365 or SharePoint on-premise, like I said. So the idea is that you've paid for this platform and we're giving you this out-of-the-box business process automation to take ownership of that platform. That's really the goal. Hey, you're using 365, you're using SharePoint on-premise. What can we do to make it easier for you to admin, drive adoption, build business processes inside of that environment? So today's project management, we're going to be covering one of our out-of-the-box applications. And if you have any interest in the previous webinars, they're up on our website. Feel free to check those out. They're going to be just like this one, a brief overview of the product, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, a good way to kind of wet your whistle on the application. But before I jump into the project management tool, I do want to talk about one other thing, and that is our application layer. These tools here, they're built on something that we call Nitro Studio. Nitro Studio is Crow Canyon's tool set. So those familiar with us are aware of this, but those who are not, it's basically our own set of tools that we use to build our applications on top of. So it's forms, it's workflows, it's reporting, it's portals, it's branding, it's AI services, Teams integrations. It's everything that the application is in its own space to be managed from. Now, I love the Nitro Studio because not only can it be like as in-depth as an info path replacement, but it can also empower departmental users to make changes to their forms and their workflows on their own. So it's easy for us from a support method to manage and maintain those departments and turn around quick support. It also gives us the ability to keep our pricing cost effective, right? We're not charging per user in this case. We're not charging per technician. It's the price of the application, and you get all the cool things of Nitro Studio involved. And I'm going to be touching on the bits of Nitro as we kind of work our way through the project manager today, but I do want you to keep in mind that all of these tools are built on our own application layer. Okay, so let's pop into it. Now, how a project is created, how a request is created, that's always where I start my demos. And really, a project, pull up this backend site here, a project can be created from the project main site. So this is our backend site, right, where we're going to be working projects out of. You always have the ability to create a project from the site itself into this projects list. But what I want to highlight here is, again, how interconnected all of our applications can be to really provide that service desk platform. So one of the features of Nitro Studio, again, this is our Nitro apps, this is our Nitro interface for the project management application. This one tool is called custom actions. And what that does is it gives us the ability to manually invoke a workflow. And the reason I'm talking about this is because we also have our IT help desk site, right? So project site, IT help desk site. And again, this is kind of highlight the connective abilities between our applications. So when I come into IT, leveraging that custom actions tool and leveraging our Nitro forms, I can pull up a form, and let's say an IT ticket has ran its course from managing it in the ticket space, and it needs to become a project. What I can do is I can run this custom action to actually create a project in our targeted project site in our targeted project list. So what it's going to do, it's going to pull up the project form specific to this particular site that we're working in for the webinar today. So it's going to look very similar to creating a new project on the back end here. I pulled this up. So as you can see, the form template's the same, right? We're basically pulling up the same form. Just what we've done now is given you the ability to connect our applications together. So again, I just want to highlight the ability we can pull from site to site, site collection to site collection, give you the ability to create items in targeted lists from our other applications. So you can seamlessly transfer information from one of your business processes to another. Whether you're using our out-of-the-box tools, Nitro as a standalone, it gives you that ability to really have that single pane of glass across your entire organization. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to close that out. We'll talk a little bit more about Nitro Studio and the forms in a second, but let's talk about the projects. Okay, so now I've created a new project. I'm creating a new project, I should say. And really it comes down to two different ways that you can create a project, right? I mean, or not two different ways, but two different types of projects, I guess is the best way to say it. You have your project templates, right? Your projects that you run more frequently than once. You have task templates, you have milestone templates, you have a certain type of project that has the same basic structure over and over again. So instead of having to go in and create those milestones and templates ad hoc, from scratch all the time, what we've done is we've given you the ability to define project templates. So now when I come in here and I select project types, this project template here, you can see we've created a few project templates specifically for this demo. And what it does is it just gives us the ability to create those projects on the fly, right? To not have to worry about adding in 20 tasks, 30 tasks, 40 tasks, right? Ooh, probably should put that out for a day in the future. There we go. Right, so now you have the ability to build and manage and maintain project templates to give yourself a nice starting point from any project that you're going with, right? So you can create these milestones and tasks easily, efficiently, quickly, right? So we're not wasting time, not wasting time is the right word, but we're not spending time automatically or manually creating tasks when they could be created automatically, right? So now when these projects are created, those tasks automatically fire off and it creates this item for you. Now the cool thing about this too is that we use something very similar in our onboarding tool. Again, I'm going to be, sorry, a little bit of a broken record, but it shows the parallels of what we can do within all of our applications, right? So within our onboarding tool, it's similar to projects. When a task is created, when a milestone is created, and they have an owner to that task or an owner to that milestone, those people are going to be automatically notified when that task is created, when that milestone is created, when that project is created, right? And you get the little green arrows of success here. It's part of our custom actions, again, kind of highlighting the Nitro Studio. I like it because it gives you the warm and fuzzies that, hey, this went off according to plan, right? I get the green arrow saying, hey, it did what it was supposed to. No guessing. I know, call me silly, but I like that. I like that idea. And now you can see that we have these, project tasks created. They've been assigned to Pavan. They've been associated with the due date, and it's automatically been created. And Pavan's been notified that, hey, these tasks have been created. Hey, these milestones have been created, and they can have been automatically assigned, and they can be managed from a due date perspective. So it gives you that ability to create those task templates. So now we're looking here from more of like the project manager space. Oh, I'm a little ahead of myself. Sorry. Let's take a step back. Let's look again at this new project form. Got a little excited. Got to temper myself a little bit. So you can create those project templates, right? You can come in and define your different project templates, but you can also ad hoc and create projects on the fly. So they don't all have to be template based. You absolutely can come into the project itself and manually create your milestones, manually create your tasks, maybe for like I said, an ad hoc project, a project that you're spinning up on the fly, but it does give you that flexibility to have both the templated project as well as the ad hoc project. Now, the way that the relationship is built, it's kind of like a main category, category to subcategory relationship, parent, child, child. And in this case, the top level is the project, right? So our project is our top level task or our top level item. Our milestones are our secondary, right? So our milestones feed up into projects, and then our third level is tasks. So then our tasks would then feed up into our milestones, milestones feed up into our projects. So it gives you the ability to have multiple layers to your project. So like what I mean by that is when we spin up this new project, we look at this guy. Let's open this form, the one we just created. So now we can open this up and you can see we have multiple levels built into this project. So we've created multiple milestones and we've created multiple tasks related to those milestones, right? So what I mean by that is milestone 1 has task 1, has task 2. Milestone 2 has task 3 and has task 4. Milestone 3 has task 5, has task 6, etc. So it gives you the ability to kind of build as you go, right? So this is automatically created. We also have the ability to, if you're interested, to have a little bit of task dependency as well. So this is something that we're building into the tool. Also, it's the ability to create milestones upon completion of a previous milestone. Hey, once milestone 1 is completed, then fire off milestone 2. Once milestone 2 is completed, fire off milestone 3. Again, it's parallel to like what we do in our onboarding tool for those who are familiar with it. You know, create Active Directory tasks first, fire off the rest of the tasks. Right, so it gives you that task dependency. And again, notifications, emails, or notifications via email are associated with all these tasks and milestone creations. And then you also have the ability to come in and actually manually track each one of these tasks. So it's not just the notification of the task going out. Now I have visibility, it's created, but we actually can physically work these tasks and milestones from here as well. So it's cool because, well, I think it's cool. The way that we've architected our forms piece is something that we call associated items. And it's kind of like repeating rows in the old InfoPath space for those who are familiar. For those who are not, it goes back to that parent-child relationship that I was talking about. And basically what we're doing is we're looking at another list. So if we strip down, you know, Nitro Studio, our branding, and our out-of-the-box application, we are building these on top of the SharePoint world, right? And really what these are lists. So a project is a list, milestone is a list, and the tasks are its own list. And basically we've done the connection for you. So when we come in and we look at an individual task or we look at an individual milestone, they each can have their own form. So what that does is gives us the flexibility from a information capture perspective, right? It gives us the ability to invoke role-based permissions. So right, you can see I can't come in here and I can't change the milestone. Oh, I can click on it. That's not what I wanted. I can't come in here and change the milestone of the project like I can who the task is assigned to, right? So it gives you the ability to limit what particular users in the project management application can do, right? So we're not just giving everyone free reign, free ability to come in here and create. Very stringent roles around what they can do from a task perspective, as what they can do from a milestone perspective, as well as the information that you want to capture on any one of these forms. Like here, we're looking at the task, and you know, it has the task roll up, the project roll up, the milestone roll up, who it's assigned to, any notes they want to associate with the task, and then this is rich text, multi-line of text. So you can include images, you can include hyperlinks, you can include tables, right? So it gives you the ability to really disseminate or capture any information, free, rich text, free information that you want associated with the task, as well as some defined columns that you want them to fill out. Hey, when is the due date? What are the hours? What are the pending hours on this, right? And give them the ability to update this task specific to them or these set of tasks specific to them. And then it gives you the ability to see where everything has rolled up to, right? Where is the status of all of these tasks and all these milestones from this main project view here, right? Is it started? Is it in progress, right? What tasks have been completed? What tasks are open? Okay, so I want to pull up this form again, and I want to talk a little bit about the forms. Now, these forms are Nitro forms. These are Crow Canyon forms. And this is the highlights of the ability of what we can do from an out-of-the-box perspective, right? Some information that we can capture, like client. right? So right now we're focusing on a internal project, right? This is for specific to Crocanyon in this case, I guess. But let's say you're working with Crocanyon as a vendor. You also have the ability to define a client on your projects as well. If that's not something that you want, or you want to capture more information on these forms, different information, the cool thing about leveraging the project management with Nitro Studio is that we have created our own forms. Our forms tool is another piece of this business application that you're going to have control of. So again, the reason I like it, the reason I think it's cool, is because it gives you the ability to take complete ownership of the application once it's in your space, right? We're not a third-party private cloud application. It's sitting inside of your environment, so you control the data. And we're also giving you this really cool set of tools to admin and really take ownership of the application as well. So you want to add more columns to the task form. You want to add more columns to the milestone form. You want to remove that client column on the project itself because maybe all of these projects are internal. You have the full capability to do so. And if you want to know more about Nitro forms, I mean, I can talk in depth. I could talk about the Nitro forms for hours. I suggest reaching out. We could schedule a time for myself and you guys to meet one-on-one, and we could really dig into the application as well as the flexibility within the form space. Okay, so milestones and tasks related to the project, all tasks. And now one other thing I want to highlight on the form itself is this ability to label a project as a master project or a sub-project. It's just another parent-child relationship level that you can build within the tool. So just like project is a milestone, milestone is a task, you can also relate project to project. So project A is the master project, project B and C are directly related to project A. It just gives you a full, like I said, I'm going to use single pane of glass, full visibility, whatever it is that you want to call it, into all of your projects within your space. So it gives you that ability to connect everything as easily as possible from one screen. And that's a common theme in a lot of our Crocanyon business applications. It's how quickly can we access and disseminate information from one form, from one screen. Okay, so let's say that's the master project. Now, once these projects are created and milestones are created and tasks are created, one quick sidestep I want to talk about, these other applications. Let's say the project is involving multiple departments. We talked about IT a little bit already. Maybe we need to pull in case management, or we need to pull in the networking team, or maybe it's HR related or work orders facilities. The nice thing about using SharePoint, leveraging the Crocanyon business applications is that these tasks, if you're interested, can also automatically create tickets in those individual workspaces as well, right? So the idea is that, going back to my little screen here, going back to this idea of having that single pane view, right? So if you want to create a project and you want only your project managers to work the projects within that site, they want their tasks to be updated or milestones to be updated individually within those particular applications. Probably tasks in this case. We want milestones to be managed by the project manager, but let's say IT has 3 tasks associated with the project. Let's say HR has 3 tasks associated with the project, right? You have the ability to have those tasks create tickets within those space. Again, the ability to pass information from location to location as seamlessly as possible. And now you can also update these tasks by like email. Like I was coming in and updating this individual task in the project itself, like looking at the list item and saying, okay, I'm going to come in, I'm going to update information, I'm going to change the task status, I'm going to up the due date, up the project hours. We also have the ability, leveraging our workflow tool, again, another piece of the Nitro Studio toolset, to actually create or update tasks via email, update work logs via email. So if you have management folks who don't come into SharePoint that often, who don't come into the 365 space, they can actually update the description, update work orders, update milestones, update tasks from their email as well. That's also a possibility. Okay, so project management space, creating projects, creating ad hoc projects, managing the tasks, managing the milestone, visibility, right? We've talked about that. We have this nice project level dashboard. This is where your project managers are going to work from, whether they're adminning the project or sending out tasks or tickets or whatever to these other applications. This is where they're going to manage their information from. There's another level above this for the admin side, the team who's going to own the application and make changes to application templates, right? Nitro Studio itself, and that's the admin team, right? And that's done through our application administration area here, this little wrench. I already have it open. And what it does is it gives you the ability to really change any information associated with the tool. So the projects list, the project type list, the milestone templates, right? The task templates. And then you can also come in here and add clients to your client list, right? So you can create these on the fly. You want to have projects associated with clients, outside vendors, client name, main contact, email, any projects or active projects associated with that client. Again, providing that single pane visibility across the projects list as well as the clients list. And then the ability to define your different project types, right? So our different templates for each project. So now you can start to build your different layers. Okay, you want to give it a project title. You want to create a milestone template for that particular project. Milestones 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, obviously those are generic, but what project it's going to be related to. What you want to call these milestones, who it's assigned to, the due hours, etc. And this is where we're defining those, defining who those milestones and tasks are assigned to. And the same idea with the task template. Right, so now you can see we have this multiple level effect built in. So you create your project, you create your milestone related to that project, you create your task related to that milestone. This is where all of that's defined from. And you also have ability to access the Nitro apps as well. So this Nitro Studio interface, we kind of looked at it a little bit, but this is where everything related to that application lives. So our forms tool, our workflow tool, our reporting tool, which I'll get into in a second, as well as all these other little pieces that go into really making SharePoint easy to manage and maintain from a business application perspective. Now, sidestep, small plug for what's coming. Our AI services, we are going to have a pretty cool, comprehensive Teams integration coming forward. Moving forward, I should say. So I think it's 2 weeks from today, we're having a Teams webinar specifically around our AI services and how you can update SharePoint list items from Teams, how you can interact with our applications via Teams as well. So keep your eyes out for that. Teams is on the forefront of Microsoft, right? I think everyone now in the 365 space is using Teams or wants to use Teams or has the plans to use Teams. And our applications are going to be a natural extension of that environment. So whether it's SharePoint, whether it's Outlook, whether it's Planner, whether it's Teams, we want to get our fingers into all that space to make these applications easy for you guys to manage, maintain, and use from an end user perspective. So all of that lives within our Nitro Studio. Now, briefly, I want to talk about the forms. Just quickly, our forms tool is the flagship, right? I mean, anytime you open up any of the lists within the application, we're talking about our Nitro forms. And I just want to highlight some abilities you have within the forms tool. So let's open up maybe our projects form, that first form we were working out of. And the cool thing here versus like other tools in the market is that our forms are written directly on the list. So they're not tied to a specific user, right? So if someone's sick or on vacation, out away from the office, we're not relying upon that person to log in and say, hey, I need this changed, I need that changed. You have the flexibility to come in as long as you have the proper permissions to make changes to the forms, right? And this is our form design tool. In my opinion, I see it as 3 different levels, 3 different layers, right? Like UI, UX, you can change the look and feel of the form. You can change the background colors. You can make, here we go. You can create a global theme specific to your organization. So all of your forms can have the same look and feel, right? As like ours do. You can see we have this blue-gray theme applied. But like your font family, your font color, your back color, the tabs and sections can have their own colors, right? So you have complete control over how the form looks and feels. And then when it comes to adding tabs or adding columns, removing columns, it's very SharePoint standard, right? We just have given you a clean, easy interface to work that from, right? So adding in columns. Do I already have status in here? I think I do. Let's find a column that's not in there, Ryan. So like adding a columns is very drag and drop, right? Now I've added this pending task column into the form itself. Maybe I don't want the client column in there, right? Creating columns directly on the SharePoint list. Again, for those familiar, you have to go to the site settings, find the list, add the column on the list, come back to the form, and add the column on the form, right? You have the ability to do so directly from the form designer here. So we can create a column on the list. It gets created from the form design tool. Let's just say test column here. Show you guys what that looks like live. It gets created from the screen that I'm in, and I have the ability to add it directly onto the list without having to leave the screen. There it is, and now it's added. Very easy, very simple, very straightforward. And this, it's the reason I love this tool so much, or the reason I'm enamored with our business applications, is because you don't have to be a SharePoint whiz. You don't have to be have a degree in Microsoft to be able to come in and manage and maintain forms specific to the project manager application. Now you can get complex with this as well. So like I like it because I'm not a developer by any means, solid power user, yes, but you can come in and do some basic SharePoint permissions, apply permissions to columns and tabs, show, hide, or read columns based on certain information. You can put column validations on here and then go very developer centric. So calling out to external data columns, leveraging our REST API services through our workflow tool, injecting custom JavaScript or custom CSS onto a form load, or have JavaScript be embedded into a submit action button. I mean, you have the ability really to take and manage or maintain your application specific to you. So now that's just a side step. Again, we can spend a lot of time on the Forms tool. We can spend a lot of time on Nitro Studio and how it applies to your application. If you're interested, reach out. We'll be happy to cover that in more detail. Now, our reporting. We have a report center here. I'm also going to show you what it looks like in a dashboard. So the reporting tool gives you is again another piece of this Nitro Studio. Lives within our Nitro space, so it's included in the application. Let's take a look at the project's overview. And I think the easiest way to say it, or how I explain it to our current customers, is that, like, look, as long as the information lives within the application, lives within the site, we can report on it. So you can see things like active projects, pending milestones, pending tasks, right? Maybe you want to add in one for overdue tasks, totally possible. Milestones by user, active projects by user, right? 1 to me, 3 to Pavan, right? Projects by status. We have 7 in progress. Active milestones by user, pending milestones by task or by user, right? So you have the ability to build these reports into dashboards that are live. So when the information updates or changes, as does the report. So it does it automatically for you, which is really nice. And then these can also be drill downs as well. So you have the ability to click on these and actually pull up the view specific to that drill down. So maybe I want to see all pending milestones. Click on that, and I can see all open milestones here. So again, seamlessly jump from information to information. Now, the other cool thing about the reporting tool is something that you can use leveraging the workflow piece of Nitro Studio, is that you can actually send these reports at a date and time cadence of your choosing. So if you want to send, active projects by user every Monday morning at 9 a.m., and you want that to go to management, these can be exported and printed. They exported PDF. They can also be emailed, but leveraging that workflow tool, you can send these reports at a date and time cadence of your choosing. 9 a.m. Monday morning, like I was talking about, the last of every month at 5 p.m., right? You have the ability to kind of, eliminating human error is not the right word, but like automating the process as much as possible, leveraging, what we offer from an either out of the box perspective or taking advantage of that Nitro Studio apps. And all of these live within the report center. So you can see, like, we have some reports built in here already, days to complete task average, milestones by task, kind of like what we were showing in that dashboard already, pending user by task. But you also have the ability to see things within a calendar view as well, or a Gantt chart view. Let me see the task list, show you guys that from a reporting perspective. So you have timelines. We also have calendar views built onto all of our lists. So you can see any calendars, like, hey, this task is slated to be, X amount of time. These are slated to be X amount of time. And then you can drill down into these as well. And it's going to pull up that form for us. So again, going right back to that task form. The same idea for projects as well. So from any time, you can make these calendar views available to see what tasks are running concurrently, what tasks are slated to be due when, are we on status with those particular projects, and keep track of, total monies against the project, total time against the project. Here you go. And when these projects are slated to be, completed. So I'm right at the bottom of the hour, and I like to keep my webinar short, sweet, and to the point, right around half an hour, 35 minutes, and we're just at that point now. So I like to open it up to talk about any questions that you guys might have. If you want to shoot those over, feel free to. So for the next couple minutes, I'm just going to be kind of wrapping up. But as questions come in, we're going to try to answer those live. So now is the time to send those in.
Hi,
One of the things.
Ryan. Oh,
Oh, go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
whenever you're ready, I thought you wanted questions, but if you have something else to want to go cover first, I'll get to the questions in a moment.
No, no, let's cover questions now. I can wrap up in a sec. That'd be great.
Time tracking, that's the one. So let's go over that a little bit, how you track time. A developer works on a task for 3 days and wants to log their time spent on a task at the end of every workday. So,
Sure.
the person's on a project and their task is assigned to them and they want to log. So yeah, let's go into time tracking.
Yeah, that's a great question. Really, it depends on how far you guys want to take it from a time tracking perspective. So within these tasks, we can come in here and manually update these particular logs, right? Pending hours, projected hours, etc. And then they can mark however many hours they spent on top of that. What we're working on here is adding in a validation to say, have a box pop up to say, hey, you know what? When you log this amount of time, I want you to put in what you did. Right? So the ability to log in a certain amount of time on a particular project or a particular line item in this case, a task. So I kind of want to give you guys an idea of what that looks like.
Right, and they can say what that time is, whether it's travel, phone, billable time, non-billable, whatever, and put notes
That's it.
about it too. Yeah,
That's exactly right. Here,
so it
I have
becomes
an
like a
example.
record in itself.
Exactly. Yeah, I have an example here. I want to show you guys if I can get my question box out of the way. Here we go. I tell you, trying to manage and do webinars at the same time. Okay. So what we do is we give you each technician or each developer the ability to add in time logs on a particular task. So what it does is it goes back to this parent-child relationship. So really what it is, it's a time tracking list, say new time log, that we've connected to the task list or the milestone list. It can be assigned to a technician automatically, or they can plug in their work, right? So maybe it's travel, maybe it's on site. Obviously, these drop downs are going to be specific to your organization, right? These are choice columns. So we have the ability to come in and change these. But let's say we spent 1 hour and 15 minutes on this particular task. So when they save it, it creates a log. So now we keep the total aggregate time against this particular item, and you can drill down and see these logs and who spent the time on them, what they spent the time on, etc. So now you have a running time spent on each one of these tasks, and it can update the total time spent on the pending hours.
Good. Yeah, that time tracking is really good. Now, the next thing is one person asked if we need anything with Power Platform, Power Apps, Power Automate, which used to be called Flow, and Power BI, and absolutely you don't. You don't need any of the licensing, any of the Power Platform at all. But you could use it if you wanted to. That's up to you, but you don't need it. Our Nitro runs entirely on top of the SharePoint Office 365 environment, right?
That's exactly right. I think you hit the nail on the head. We have everything self-contained within Nitro Studio, and again, Scott and I could talk about the differentiation between Power Platform and Nitro probably at nauseum, right, Scott?
Yeah, well, I always like it. I always like
Yeah,
talking about Nitro. It's fun.
yeah, I do too. But yeah, you have the ability to use only Nitro within the toolset. You don't have to use Flow. You don't have to use Power Apps. I mean, that kind of highlights. I touched on it briefly, but Power Automate, Forms, Power Apps is tied to a specific user. In this case, the reason I like Nitro is because it's tied to the site. Right, we're not reliant upon that user to change the flow or a Power App or a form. If you want to integrate with any of those tools, you absolutely have the possibility to. Right, like as I'm going to talk about this as I pull it up, but within our workflow tool, you have the ability to call Microsoft Flows, so Power Automates. Sorry, it's going to take me a long time to get over that. From our tool set. So if you already have those in place and you want to use them, you're more than welcome to. All we want to do is make it easier for you to use your 365 environment. It's a great
Right,
question.
and I think the issue, part of the question, I don't know if it was meant to be part of it, but the way I read it was, that's a license cost, or could incur a license cost when you use Power Platform, and our system
Correct.
doesn't require that at all, so it's quite a saving. Now, along with that, also another earlier question was, This runs in SharePoint on premises and or Microsoft Office 365. You could be either one. We have it for 2013, 2016, 2019 SharePoint. That's one version of it. And then we have the Office 365 version of it also.
That's correct.
So make
SharePoint
clear.
Online, Office 365, Teams integrations, SharePoint on-prem, 13, 16, 19. Yeah, all of the above.
Right. Now I see you have the Microsoft Flow work type there that you can invoke.
Yes.
But one other question that came up is
Mm-hmm.
about dashboards and executive dashboards and how easy it is. How easy is it to create your own dashboard or limit the dashboard to a certain data and put reports on it? And of course, we have the modern UI in the SharePoint Online, but also the classic UI. So, I mean, yeah, just a little bit about dashboards, if you can go over that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I'm big on. I like talking about dashboards, having that, again, I know I've said it a few times, but that single pane of glass, right? Like the ability to see all information across, any application you have within your organization. So like in previous iterations of our webinars, I've put together this dashboard. And like this is going to be roll-ups from all of our applications, right? So assets, tickets, purchase requests. I'm not sure if I have projects on here, but like HR requests. These are reports specific to those particular applications, right? All reports being generated, pulled from those sites. I also have different list views pulled up from those sites as well. View information specific to me. So if you're have your hands in the project management space and you have your hands in the ticketing space and you have your hands in the purchase request space, what we can do is we can leverage our portal system, our portal structure, this guy here, to provide views into any of the applications or any of the information that you need specific to you. So again, it comes down to role-based, equal to me. So in this case, equal to me is open tickets, checked out assets, pending purchase orders, right? And now you can cycle through your different views. So absolutely, you have the ability to create these different dashboards, and I think they're important. I mean, I think that having an end user space specifically for them to create and manage and maintain their requests or their tickets is important, just as it is for your management to be able to see things specific to them. So whether it's an individual dashboard like project health, project management, or across multiple applications, the idea is the same. Let's get you your information as quickly as possible. Let's leverage, your Microsoft platform and our Nitro tool set to do so.
That's right. You can create some really interesting dashboards, and you could bring in Power BI if you wanted, but you don't need to. We have a lot of reporting capabilities right here.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
And did I see something about approvals pop up there, Scott? Was that a
Yes,
question?
approvals.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so approval levels. Approval levels are going to be defined really by certain parameters out of the box. So the approval levels are defined by like project type. They could be by project department. They could be by cost of the project, right? Total cost of the project. What is it? Project. It's a type. Department cost. You could have general projects as well. It just gives you the ability to make the approval levels configurable, right? So we have some generic approval levels out of the box, right? I think I'm just racking my brain here. Yeah, it's department, it's type, and it's cost. But leveraging the workflow tool, you can have a more stringent approval process there. And once the approval is created, right? Once we've gone in and created an approval on that project, it can either flow in like a step-by-step approval process, meaning approver 1 has to approve, then it goes to approver 2, it has to go to approver 3, or maybe approval level is only up to 5,000 and this is 10,000, so we skip approval 1 and go straight to approval 2. So those tasks are created. The approver gets a notification when the project has come up and it needs to be approved. They can view that project outline in their email. They can actually approve the project via email as well if they want to, or they can come in and fill out their approval task within the project management site itself, and then it moves on to the next person. And they have 3 different options. They can approve, they can deny, or they can send back. Each one of those options prompts them to fill in a comment as to why it was selected, and then it moves along to the next person. The other option is that it can go out to a set of people, and if one person approves, then the project gets approved. So a lot of flexibility there. And then was the training supported right on Nitro Studio? Yeah, we absolutely offer training on Nitro. I heavily suggest it. I mean, we have application training, which gives you a rundown of how that tool works, right? Like how the projects interact with the tasks, how the milestones interact with tasks, etc. I think the Nitro training is the most important thing that you can invest in because it gives you the ability to take ownership of the application. Look, you can come to us and we can work with you to help you get the tool up and running, invest in some consulting or professional services with our team, and we can help you get the tool to go live. We always look at the Nitro training side because it gives you more independency, right? You know Nitro like the back of your hand now, so you can easily come in and configure that up, change the approval workflow to make it make sense for you, change the project form to make it make sense for your organization.
Okay, good. How about a resource calendar? A calendar where you're scheduling your resources being people. I mean, that could be added quite easily.
Yeah, that's something that we're looking at right now in development. So
Well,
right now with this,
easy enough to
it,
add, yeah.
yeah, it's something that our team's looking at. Some SharePoint things with calendar list views and being able to tab through calendars that are provide a little bit of a hurdle from a development perspective, but it's absolutely on the docket. We've talked about this with our developers earlier this week, and they're looking into it. So yeah, it is definitely something that is going to be added to the application. It's just a matter of when. I'll get back to you on that. I'll reach out to the person who asked that question specifically, and we'll give you an update there.
Yeah, the other thing is about importing from an existing, project tool already.
Mhm.
And it can be done. It's just a matter of does that tool allow exporting into a certain format that can be then
Right.
imported? Because what we're doing is basically using SharePoint lists, which are essentially databases. So just moving data from one to the other in a way that takes it from the old one and makes it make sense in the new one. The different vernacular, different words, different columns, but usually it's pretty. I wouldn't say it's the right, straightforward, click a button kind of stuff. It does take a little data massaging, but it's definitely doable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nail on the head. Well, great. I mean, if you guys have any questions, now's the time since you got us. We do just kind of a quick sidestep. We do have a couple webinars coming up. Next week, same time, same day, we're going to have an Activate Your Digital Workplace with our business applications, talking about like the big picture of leveraging your Office 365 or your SharePoint environment as your platform of choice for all of your business process automation and applications. And then the one we're really looking forward to is this Microsoft Teams and Crow Canyon business applications webinar. That's on the 21st. So as you can see, they kind of all go hand in hand. That's the idea here at Crow Canyon. We've shown you the individual applications through our webinar series. We highly encourage you to check those out. Next week, we're going to talk about how all these applications can give you the ability, empower you to take control of the 365 or SharePoint space. And then Scott's going to take a deep dive into our integration with Teams and our applications. Super cool. I've seen some mock-ups, and I'm really excited for that. It's going to be a really cool webinar.
Right. We have bots going, support bots running in Teams that will, well, first of all, it's an FAQ bot where a person can ask questions and get answers based on a database. That's a pretty straightforward thing to set up. If we can help you get something like that set up in Teams very easily. Also, we have a more sophisticated support bot, which is where you ask a question, it provides certain kinds of answers, and then if the answer doesn't doesn't fit, it goes into the ability to create tickets, and then you can view tickets and comment on tickets, and staff can interact with tickets. So Teams becomes the interface if that's what you want to do. If you're in SharePoint, Office 365, SharePoint Online, the support bot becomes a very good way to work with the ticketing system or any kind of request system, whether it's HR, facilities, work orders, anything like that through the Teams interface. And did you mention this, Ryan, that the Nitro Studio workflows and custom actions now have the ability to communicate with a Teams channel? So
It
that's
does.
another feature we'll be putting in there, right?
Yeah, that's one's really cool.
Yeah.
Interacting the workflows with Teams channel. That's awesome. Because I
So
use
if you
Teams.
had a project could be in a channel on Teams, you're right, and you have this interaction going back and forth. So you can put, some elements of your project as a team. A project is kind of a team effort usually, right?
Exactly right. Hmm.
So it makes sense to have it in teams and have this communication going back and forth with updates and all that. So it's pretty cool stuff going on with teams. And of course, that's for people in SharePoint, Office 365, and on-premises Teams isn't there yet, but or ever, I don't know. But that's specifically for the SharePoint Online environment, the Office 365. Yeah, good stuff, huh?
Yeah, great. Well, I appreciate everyone. Oh, we got a couple questions here. Hold on. Sorry. Is
Right,
there a mobile
good.
app for Android or iOS? We don't have an app. Crow Canyon doesn't have an app per se. That doesn't mean you can't leverage the SharePoint app. So if you're in the modern UI, the Microsoft SharePoint has an app that our tools work within. So you can leverage all of our forms within the SharePoint app. And then also moving forward with the Teams interface, Teams has a mobile app which you can uh, uh, access workflows, support bots, FAQ bots, etc., from that mobile app as well. And then the third is the Power Apps. Like if you want a Power App created for this particular project, that's also a possibility as well. So
Yeah.
out of the box, absolute. Out of the box, no, we don't. But is it possible? Absolutely.
Well, we have mobile, yeah, we have mobile capabilities for sure. Our responsive designs of the dashboards and things like that. It's not, I think you're absolutely right. We don't have a specific app that runs a Crow Canyon app that runs in, on the smartphone,
Mhm.
because we
But
felt
there
that there
are.
wasn't a need. There wasn't a need for that because we have like you were saying, those abilities you just said to interact with the mobile, whether it's directly through the browser, through the SharePoint app, through Teams app, different ways of working that mobile end of things, right?
Right. Yeah. Microsoft has the billion-dollar development team, so we'll let them be create the apps, and we'll just ride the backs a little bit. But it is absolutely possible to make that happen.
Yeah.
And then there was another question here about column validations. Where you can add highlights based on a value or not having a value. We do have a video on column validations in our Nitro Studio training area. I'll send that to the question asker, so we'll make sure we get that to you.
Yeah, it sounds like conditional formatting. So yeah. All right, good.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate the attendance. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot it at sales@crowcanyon.com. Both myself and Scott watch that inbox. Give us a call. We're happy to set up a private demo for you, or just talk about any questions you have, Office 365 or SharePoint related, in more depth.
Okay, great.
Scott,
Thanks, Brian.
yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Scott. Thanks for asking or answering questions, and we'll talk to everyone next time.
Okay, good.